I'm in the vineyard. I'm in the right place. I've got to find the wine. Let's go. I heard some gunshots. They do wild boar hunting. I better get inside. It's locked. How am I going to get in? They've let me in. I've got to find the owner. Chateau Vignelaure. Let's go. Come on. Let's go find the owner. Hello, where are you? Hey!
How are you?
Fantastic!
Welcome to Vignelaure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, huh?
It's great, and it's a special time you come, you know, it's harvest, so everything is boiling with excitement.
Fantastic, but what was that gunshot stuff?
Yeah, we are shooting the wild boars so they don't eat our grapes, so it's lucky you didn't look too much like a wild boar, huh?
So what are we going to do?
I think we should go to the vineyard, you know, see the plants, see the harvesting, and then drink some wine.
Fantastic,
okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. We are in the Grand Pièce, which is actually the oldest plot of Vignelaure.
Yeah.
And we have been growing wines here since 1967, about 17 hectares. These grapes will then go into the rosé wine this year, as you see. And you have like 5 or 6 bunches on one plant. So one plant is like one bottle of wine, you know, and there are 4,000 plants on each hectare. So they are small, they have a thick skin, a little like, you know, black currant, and not like eating grapes at all, you know. A lot of stones, which also add to the taste and to the texture of the wine, the tannins, you know, that makes the resistant. Imagine each plant is gone over every year 4 times by hand. So you cut, you prune, and then you pick. So it's a lot of work, you know.
Wow.
And that's wine of quality costs money, of course, you know. Here we do it all by hand. You have a lot of wild boar in the forest, and they love mature grapes. You know?
Okay.
So you put electric fencing all around all the vineyards.
Yeah.
And therefore they can't go in. They can't jump, you know, so they don't go in.
Wow.
Sometimes they go in anyway because they're so eager to eat. They can smell the sweetness and everything, and they squeak, you know, when they run through it. And then they can eat it anyway. So. If you have only soil, it gets too heavy, and the grape doesn't become as complex. And if it is too much rocks, then the roots can't come down. So you have to break it. You have heavy machinery to break it. You have caterpillar that's do the plowing, you know, and they plow 60 centimeters deep. So it's a hell of a job, you know. But when it's done, and then you can plant, and you can have plants here for 100 years, you know.
Okay, so the wine's arrived.
Yeah, wine's arrived.
Yeah.
And it's going into the press.
Yeah.
After the press, it goes into the production facilities where you have the steel tanks where it goes from juice to wine. Yeah?
Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
You call it Chateau, and that is actually a quality stamp on the wine.
Okay.
But what you see is what a Frenchman would say is a bastide.
Yes.
That is a bigger farmhouse. And the oldest part was the right one. It was built actually in the year of the Revolution, 1789. And the rest was built in the early 19th century. And the production facilities, and these 2 blocks of houses was built in 1965, where a very known French guy called Georges Brunet came from Bordeaux, sold his estate there, which was La Lagune, which is a 3rd Cru Classé estate, and created Vignelaure, who was the first one to make quality wine in Provence.
And what year was that?
That was the first harvest is 1970.
Really
and we still have some bottles in the cellar from that year. What you see here on the left-hand side is all the wine that goes locally to France. France is so advanced, so they still have this VAT label on top, not digital.
Wow.
So you put a little stamp there to show it's VAT'd. On the other side here, to the left, is what goes on export.
Okay.
And what is interesting is that in our cellar, all our wine bottles are laying there in stock in what you call naked skin. They don't have anything on them. You can see here. So you have bottles without labels. Only the cork shows which year it was. And then this machinery over here, when you take them up from the cellar, it washes the bottle, put the corks on, the aluminium on, put the label on, and the back label. Because you see, we export to 15 countries.
Wow.
And when we export to Japan, it has to be in Japanese. When we export to Canada, it has to be French and English. So all the back labels are done with each language. And here you have the tanks. This is really a heaven for a winemaker. We have 4 plots. We have 11 varieties of grapes. And we have the grapes on each plot. And in one plot they are good this year and not so good in the other plot. So we keep them separated as long as possible in order to be perfect on the quality and the taste. So you really have to keep the Cabernet from Le Grand Pièce there and the Cabernet from La Colline there, and all tanks are chilled. And that is because you want to ferment it cold fermented. If you ferment naturally, it comes up to 30-35 degrees and the wine doesn't become so good.
How long is the fermentation process?
2-3 weeks, and then it's done.
2-3 weeks?
Yeah, then he up there have made juice into wine. But then it takes a couple of years to make good wine. But after 2 weeks, it's wine.
So how much wine do you produce a year? So if you're selling 250,000 bottles at 75 CLs, it's nearly 200.
Yeah. And in the biggest harvest we had was like 2,600 hectoliters. Huh?
Hello, wine, where are you?
That's where we put the
Naughty children.
Well, naughty children in order to have full-bodied wine, you know. So here we have 15, we have 16, we have 2004, can you see?
Yeah.
That we still sell.
So if I wanted a special bottle of red, would I be buying 2004 or does it matter? Like he said 18, 15, 14, they're all good.
No, I would buy a Magnum to start with because the wine matures slower and better in a bigger bottle.
Okay.
And I would go for an older one. I would buy a 2004 because it's rare that you drink older wines, and they are very nice, they are very different. You know, there's more tobacco, there's more pine tree, more earthy taste, you know. Wow. So here you have only the Chateau Red. You can see it's 3 layers deep. It's 3 layers.
20 a line, 20 a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 200 bottles.
Because it's 3 layers deep, so it's 600.
So 600, 1,800, 3,600, 7,200. Wow.
So, and if you continue,
7,
10,
2,
13,
1,
16, 19,
2,
21, 25, about 25,000 bottles in each corridor.
Wow.
And only Chateau. And here you can see they are in naked skin.
Naked, baby.
And you can see the vintage.
Yeah.
This is 2020. It will lay here for 2 years more before we start selling it. And it collects a little dust you can see on top. So therefore you have to wash them when you take them up in order to put the label on. And you see here is 14, here's 17. Here's 19, 20 again.
Yeah.
So it lays here and it goes up according to the sales, 5 vintages. And here's the proof that French people have good humor, you know? Reserve for the owner.
A sign you're drinking too much.
Yes. And here is something very special for Vignelaure. This you only see in Bordeaux and Bourgogne. Here we have all the old vintages since 1970 and on. No?
So you recork to increase the longevity of the wine.
Yeah. Biggest effort when we recorked was that Philippe and I, we had to try each bottle.
Jeez.
So we tried each bottle that we recorked for 2 days. It was hard work. Now we come to the barrel cellar.
Oh my.
So this was made in order to show the terroir of Vignelaure, which is calcaire limestone, which give the very good earth and soil for the wine. So here you have two vintages of our Chateau wine. You have the Cabernet and the Syrah. Each of these are 400 liters. The smaller ones, 225, and these big ones, about 7.5 hectoliters.
500 bottles per barrel then, roughly,
Yeah,
75 CLs.
And there are about 360 barrels in here. And all barrels are different. So you have barrels with oak from Bourgogne, with oak from Bordeaux, with oak from the United States. This gives a different taste.
Okay.
Inside they are burnt. They are burnt medium, slow, little, or well done. That gives a different taste.
So my sense of humour, you'd want one of these barrels. If you drink a bottle of wine a day, it's 365 days. This little baby will provide you with 400 bottles.
Inside. When George Brunet built this, was the new part. He was also interested in art like we are, so he started an art collection, and some of the pieces are still from his time. So for instance, this one, Armand, he's selling at auctions at Sotheby's Christie's, and he was his friend, and he was here drinking wine with George Brunet, took the bottles with him and made this one and gave it to him. Here you have a Cellar, which is quite well known for his compressions. He had his artist bureau in a junkyard, and he pressed, this is actually a Honda motorbike. He has pressed together, you know.
Honda motorbike?
Yeah.
Cube is a Honda motorbike.
Yeah, with the number plates and everything, you know. And this photographer, Henri Cartier-Bresson, is probably the most famous photographer in the world. He dedicated it to George Brunet. He said, then the guy who has drunk, he will continue to drink. And he meant Vignelaure wine, of course, yeah. And this connects then to the old wine cellar that was used in the 19th century. These old barrels are not used now, they are empty, but they were used all the way until 1994. And this was constructed like 1820 or something like that. In the wall there, you have two big concrete tanks. So you have like 48,000 liters of wine facility in there. We use it for the rosé typically for a month or two, so it should rest before you put it on bottle. That is a tradition in the Provence that you have concrete tanks for that. Oh, we have come to the terrace.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Magic.
And this was the whole old wine production. So here they made the wine in the old time. There you see you have one barrel press here. And this was not used when we bought it. So now we do tastings here, we have events here or whatever, you know.
Now is the most important part. I've survived the wild boar shooting. I've done an amazing tour of the vineyard, and now we're going to taste some wine.
We will start with the rosé.
Yes.
Then we will go over to the whites.
Yeah.
And then it's reds all along.
Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's rock and roll. Let's go.
The vintage 23, yeah.
Vintage 23, okay.
24, but that is from last year. What
Yeah.
I'm selling now is very fresh. It's full body, blend of 4 varieties: Grenache, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Vermentino.
So you swirl in the glass.
Swirl.
Swirl, yeah.
Swirl, yeah.
And then you smell, and you feel very nice smell. You see the palate, you see the color of the wine, how it sticks to the glass, you know.
Yeah.
And then you taste. Take it in the mouth, you don't swallow. So you take it round in your mouth so you get all the tastes. You take some air together with it. So you are allowed to make sounds, and then you spit it out.
But it's only really afterwards that you get that flavor.
That is the real flavor, because in the mouth you only have 4 flavors, or 5 with umami.
Yeah.
It's actually the smell and the texture that gives the taste sensation, you know?
Okay. Vintage 21. Do I get a new glass? Same glass?
You take the same glass.
Same glass.
You
Okay.
empty it, not mix with the wine, but empty is fine.
Again, you swirl and you smell.
That is more complex than the rosé.
It's also very nice with cheese. It's a misunderstanding that you should drink red wine with cheese. You know, it's much better to have a good white wine together with the cheese. So now you change glass. You can take the big glass. Yeah,
Big glass for the big boys' wine.
Yeah.
Serious wine, serious glass, big glass.
Yeah. And see the color, you know, it's fantastic. So this is still very young. It's 6 years old. And our wines peak typically after about 10 years. Huh? So let's try something older. Let's try, for instance, the Magnum 2012. One of the sommeliers said very, very good, if I am on a dinner, I don't want to speak with children all night. I want to speak with grown-ups. Therefore, I would like to have older wines, mature wines.
Interesting.
You know? Yeah.
So the nose, this has got more bouquet. This has got
it's
more
complex.
Okay.
So the wine is getting older. You have more spice, more earthy notes. You lose the fresh fruit to have more complex notes and flavors.
People typically that get headaches or doesn't like wine, they like older wine because it's more subtle, it's more smooth.
And less sulfite also, because
when
the wine is getting older, the sulfite is getting more combination, and you have something more friendly to drink.
So now we got a real old wine. So this is like 46 years of age.
Wow.
It's almost older than you, huh?
Yeah, I've got another 8 years, but you know, I look good. I'm aging well.
Yeah. And it's smelling more like tobacco, earthy, more like pines and chocolate, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very smooth in the mouth, you know.
That's a lot softer.
Much softer. You lose the tannins, and you have something very elegant, and on the freshness, the acidity stay, and you have it's very fresh wine. It's why this type of wine you can have with fish. Now we go for the late harvest.
Late harvest.
Like Sauternes style.
Yeah.
It is Sauvignon Blanc 100%.
This is hand harvested late,
Yeah.
you know, and it's all moldy, it's all over the hill, and it's just nectar when you smell it. You know?
I mean, it's like so different.
Yeah, and we don't produce so much, so commercially it's not so interesting. It's more for ourselves and a few exquisite restaurants, you know, Guide Michelin restaurants around here that have it. And
it's very special.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
it's very small volume. It's just on the side of the rest. Yeah.
well, gentlemen, I just wanted to say what a pleasure it has been to learn so much about wine, vineyards, the vines, everything. So I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. And to you, sir, as well.
Yeah.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to buy and test this wine yourself, the website and links will be down below. We'll add some sort of code so these guys know that you've kind of bought the wine and the video has been worthwhile. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And if you want to come and stay at this vineyard, it is a possibility. Reach out if you want to do that. Thank you.